Have you ever sat in a quiet room, not because it was peaceful, but because there was no one left to call, no one checking in, no one knocking on the door? The phone sits still, the calendar is empty, and the silence, it's not calming, it's loud. It echoes through the walls, through your chest, and you start to wonder, when did things get this quiet? You didn't choose loneliness. It snuck in gradually, when friends moved away, when family got too busy, when the world around you started spinning too fast for you to keep up. And now, you're here. Over 80, still breathing, still thinking, but feeling more invisible with every passing day. If this sounds familiar, you're not the only one. The truth is, life after 80 can be beautiful, yes, but it can also be brutally isolating, and most people don't talk about that part. They show you the smiling seniors on postcards, but not the ones who cry quietly in their favorite chair, wondering if they've been forgotten. Let's not sugarcoat it today, because loneliness after 80 is real. And it's not just feeling a little down. It can eat away at your health, at your memory, at your very will to keep going. That's why this video matters. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 brutal, but honest realities about growing older, especially the ones tied to emotional isolation. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you the truth. Because knowing the truth is the first step to reclaiming your power, your peace, and yes, even your joy. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand what's really happening in life after 80. You'll know what to do about it. And if you've ever felt this deep, quiet kind of loneliness, or if you know someone who has, comment below and just say, I understand. You're not alone here. This is Elderly Wisdom Log, where your story matters. So go ahead, tap that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. Brutal reality 1. Friends disappear without warning. You don't notice it at first. One friend cancels lunch. Another moves to be closer to their kids. Then someone stops returning your call. Before you know it, your phone book starts feeling more like a memory book. Mr. Howard, he's 88 now, sharp mind, still makes the best scrambled eggs you've ever had. Every Sunday he used to meet with his war buddies at the corner diner. They'd talk about everything. Wives, cars, the price of milk, even old songs they barely remembered the words to. But one by one, those seats around the table started to empty. First came the stroke, then the quiet heart attack. Then one friend simply didn't wake up. Now Mr. Howard goes to the diner alone, orders the same thing, sits at the same table, but the laughter, the teasing, the remember when moments gone. Longevity, what a strange thing. It's supposed to be a gift, but no one tells you that the longer you live, the more goodbyes you have to say. You outlive your friends, your neighbors change, and the faces you once knew like the back of your hand, they disappear from this world without warning. Most people think, oh, just make new friends, join a group, get out more. But after 80, it's not that simple. Making friends when you're young, that's easy. There's always someone in class, at work, on the bus. But when you're 83 and your back hurts, your hearing's not what it used to be, and your energy's half what it was. The idea of starting over feels more exhausting than exciting. Still, you need connection. We all do, even if it doesn't look the same. So what can you do? Don't wait for people to come to you. Put yourself in places where kindness lives. Try local senior clubs, the ones that meet weekly, for coffee, cards, or just conversation. Visit the community center, even if just once a week. Ask your local library if they have silver socials. Many do, and yes, even consider online groups. Because sometimes, even a friendly voice through a screen can feel like a hug when you need it most. And if you're someone who says, I don't need anyone, I'm fine on my own, I hear you, but even the strongest trees need sunlight. You're no different. But let's be real. Loneliness doesn't only come from missing others. Sometimes it creeps in when you start losing parts of yourself. Let's talk about that next. Brutal reality 2. Physical decline fuels emotional isolation. Imagine standing by the window. You see the sun is out, the sky is blue, the wind is gentle. It's a perfect day, and you want to go to the mailbox. Just the mailbox. It's maybe 20-30 steps away. Used to be nothing, right? But today, your knees ache before you even try. Your legs wobble. You doubt yourself. So you sit back down, and tomorrow you don't even bother trying. This is how it starts. Little by little, your world gets smaller. The walks turn into sitting. The visits become calls. Then even the calls become too much. The physical decline isn't just about your body. It's about what that decline takes from your life. When your back hurts, you stop standing in the kitchen to cook. When your fingers stiffen from arthritis, you stop writing letters. When your eyesight fades, you stop reading the newspaper you loved for 40 years. And no one sees it happening, because you're not in a hospital bed. You're not hooked to machines. So to the outside world, you're fine. But the truth, you've been losing access to the world around you, piece by piece, without anyone noticing. And here's the danger: that shrinking world, it doesn't just make you less mobile, it makes you lonelier, less likely to reach out, less likely to be invited out. You miss birthdays, dinners, small talk. Not because you don't care, but because your body whispers, it's too much, just stay home. And so you do. But that doesn't mean there's no hope. You can fight back, even gently. Simple chair exercises every morning, holding onto the back of a chair and stretching your legs. Asking your doctor about a walker, not as a sign of defeat, but as a tool for freedom. Use assistive tools proudly. They're not signs that you've failed. They're keys to independence. And ask for help before your world becomes 4 walls and a window. Because here's the truth: the earlier you speak up, the longer you'll stay connected to the life you love. But what happens when your body holds up, yet your mind begins to pull away? Let's talk about that. Brutal reality 3. The mind plays tricks. And it's lonely in there. Margaret walks into the kitchen. She stops. She looks around. She opens the fridge, then the cabinet, then just stands there. What was I doing? She whispers. A few minutes later, she's back in the living room. She sees a picture of her granddaughter. Bright eyes, sweet smile. She knows that face, but the name, for a few seconds, it's gone. And it scares her. She sits down, closes her eyes. She feels the tears, but she doesn't let them fall. She won't tell her son. He's busy. She doesn't want to be a burden, so she keeps it to herself. And just like that, Margaret's not just forgetting, she's isolating. This is the quiet side of aging most people never see, because it's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's not sudden, it's subtle. Names, appointments are missed. The same question is asked twice in a conversation, and it makes you question your reality. The scariest part, you're aware of it, at least in the beginning. You know something's wrong, but you don't want anyone else to know. So you smile, you nod, you fake, and inside, you feel more alone than ever. People say, oh, it's just normal forgetfulness. But for you it doesn't feel normal. It feels like you're disappearing from your own life. That's a hard place to be, but it's not a place you have to stay. There are things you can do, simple, meaningful things. Engage your mind every day. Puzzles, doesn't have to be fancy. A crossword from the paper will do. Listen to audiobooks, even if reading feels tiring. Call a friend, even if you only talk for 5 minutes. Write down memories, stories, even grocery lists. The brain, it's a muscle. Use it, and it stays stronger. Don't isolate, don't hide, because sometimes staying sharp isn't about memory tricks. It's about staying connected. But even when your mind is alert, another kind of loneliness creeps in, when people begin treating you like you're invisible. Let's go there next. Before we continue, if you've stayed with me this far, it means you're not just hearing these truths. You feel them, you understand them, and maybe you've lived this. So do me a small favor with a big impact. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear these words, and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Log. Because your support, it's what helps keep these honest conversations alive. And more than that, it tells the world that your voice still matters. Now let's keep going, because this next one is a truth no one wants to admit, but nearly every elder has experienced. Brutal reality 4. Society starts to ignore you. Eleanor was a powerhouse in her time. She wore sharp suits, ran meetings, made decisions that affected hundreds of people. She wasn't just good at her job, she was the job. Fast forward 20 years. She's in a pharmacy with her daughter. They're picking up her prescription. Eleanor stands right there, wallet in hand, ID ready. But the clerk looks straight past her and talks to her daughter. What medication does she need today? Has she taken this before? Eleanor clears her throat. She even answers once, but the clerk barely responds. She's standing in plain sight, but treated like furniture. That moment, it stings more than people realize, because it's not about a prescription. It's about identity. There's a shift that happens around a certain age, where people stop seeing you and start seeing just an older person, not a teacher, not a parent, not a veteran, not a leader, just someone old, someone to be spoken around, not to, someone to be helped, even when help wasn't asked for. And the world calls it kindness, but to you, it feels like being erased. Here's the heartbreaking part. It doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's family. Kids who make decisions for you instead of with you. Doctors who speak faster and quieter, assuming you won't understand. People who think slower speech equals slower thinking. But let's clear something up. Growing older doesn't mean growing invisible. You are not a shadow of your former self. You are yourself, just with more life lived. And here's what you can do. Speak up. When the doctor looks at your caregiver, say, "I'm right here. Talk to me." When someone assumes, correct them gently but firmly. Keep making decisions, expressing opinions, setting boundaries. You are still capable. You are still present. You are still powerful. And every time you assert that, you teach the world how to treat you, because your age does not define your worth. Now, all of this, the loss of friends, the shrinking body, the mental fog, the societal invisibility, it leads to a deeper truth. One that's raw and often unspoken, but we need to speak it. Let's talk about the last brutal reality, the one no one wants to feel, but everyone deserves to face with open eyes and an open heart. Shall we? Brutal reality 5. You begin to feel forgotten by the world. It starts small. Maybe it's a birthday that gets missed. You brush it off. They must have just been busy. Then the holiday card that didn't come this year. The grandkids were always so good about that. The phone calls used to light up your week. Now you're lucky to get one a month. And even that one feels rushed. You start to wonder, do they remember not just the date on your birth certificate, but do they remember the hands that held them when they were tiny? The voice that read bedtime stories, a little hoarse but always patient. The meals cooked, the rides given, the sacrifices made, quietly without asking for praise. And when those memories feel distant, you feel distant too. It's not always cruel. People aren't always cold. Life just moves fast for them. The kids have school, the adults have work. They blink and a month has gone by. But for you, time doesn't blur together the same way. It lingers, it stretches. You feel every quiet day, every long afternoon, every night when the silence settles in like a heavy blanket. It's a kind of loneliness no one talks about, the pain of being emotionally forgotten. And here's the hard truth. Many people assume that as you get older, you need less excitement, less attention, less interaction. But it's the opposite. You don't need less. You need more depth, more connection, more reminders that you're still cherished, still vital, still seen. So what can you do when it feels like you're fading from view? Reach out. Yes, even when you think it should be their job to call you. Make the call, send the message, start the conversation. Sometimes families don't realize how much you miss them, and sometimes they need a gentle nudge. You can say, "Hey, I'd love to hear your voice more often." Or, "I miss our Sunday chats, can we start them up again?" That's not being needy, that's being human. And if you don't have family who stays in touch, you're not alone in that either. Build your own circle. Find others in your community, your housing complex, your local library, or even online. Seniors who get it, who felt the same quiet gaps and want to fill them with real companionship. Because being forgotten is one of the most painful things a person can feel. But being remembered, that's healing. You deserve to be remembered. You deserve to remind the world of your light. So where does all this leave you? Let's take a breath. Because I know this was heavy. I know some of these truths hit deeper than you expected, and maybe even brought up emotions you haven't spoken out loud in a long time. So stay with me just a little longer, because next we're going to reflect on what this really means for your life right now. How you can turn these hard truths into strength, awareness, and even a sense of peace. Let's take that next step together. Brutal reality 5. You begin to feel forgotten by the world. It starts small. Maybe it's a birthday that gets missed. You brush it off. They must have just been busy. Then the holiday card that didn't come this year. The grandkids were always so good about that. The phone calls used to light up your week. Now you're lucky to get one a month. And even that one feels rushed. You start to wonder, do they remember? Not just the date on your birth certificate, but do they remember the hands that held them when they were tiny? The voice that read bedtime stories, a little hoarse but always patient. The meals cooked, the rides given, the sacrifices made, quietly without asking for praise. And when those memories feel distant, you feel distant too. It's not always cruel. People aren't always cold. Life just moves fast for them. The kids have school. The adults have work. They blink and a month has gone by. But for you, time doesn't blur together the same way. It lingers. It stretches. You feel every quiet day, every long afternoon, every night when the silence settles in like a heavy blanket. It's a kind of loneliness no one talks about, the pain of being emotionally forgotten. And here's the hard truth. Many people assume that as you get older, you need less excitement, less attention, less interaction. But it's the opposite. You don't need less. You need more depth, more connection, more reminders that you're still cherished, still vital, still seen. So what can you do when it feels like you're fading from view? Reach out. Yes, even when you think it should be their job to call you. Make the call. Send the message. Start the conversation. Sometimes families don't realize how much you miss them. And sometimes they need a gentle nudge. You can say, "Hey, I'd love to hear your voice more often." Or, "I miss our Sunday chats, can we start them up again?" That's not being needy. That's being human. And if you don't have family who stays in touch, you're not alone in that either. Build your own circle. Find others in your community, your housing complex, your local library, or even online. Seniors who get it, who felt the same quiet gaps and want to fill them with real companionship. Because being forgotten is one of the most painful things a person can feel. But being remembered, that's healing. You deserve to be remembered. You deserve to remind the world of your life. So where does all this leave you? Let's take a breath. Because I know this was heavy. I know some of these truths hit deeper than you expected. And maybe even brought up emotions you haven't spoken out loud in a long time. So stay with me just a little longer. Because next we're going to reflect on what this really means for your life right now. How you can turn these hard truths into strength, awareness, and even a sense of peace. Let's take that next step together. So let's pause here. These truths are heavy. Maybe some of them hit a little too close. You might have nodded quietly. Or maybe your chest tightened as memories surfaced. And that's okay. Because these aren't just statistics. These are lived experiences. Your experiences. The ones you often carry in silence. And yes, these realities are hard to hear. But maybe what's even harder is living them. Still pretending they're not there. Pretending everything's fine when it's not. That's what truly makes them dangerous. Because loneliness, neglect, invisibility, they grow stronger in silence. But the moment you name them, the moment you say, "Yes, that's me. That's what I've been feeling," you take the first step back toward power. Because while you can't reverse aging, you can understand it. You can face it. You can own it. And more importantly, you can choose how to respond to it. You're not powerless. You are aware. And that awareness is a form of freedom. You might not have the energy you once did. You might need a cane, or forget a few names here and there. But guess what? You're still here. You're still learning. You're still growing. You still have something to give. So here's what I want you to do today. Reach out to one person. Just one. Call a friend. Send a message. Leave a note. Tell someone how you're feeling. Or ask them how they're doing. That simple act can open a door that's been closed too long. Start a gratitude journal. Write one thing each day that made you smile. Even if it's small. Even if it's small. Even if it's just, "I made it to another sunrise." And plan one thing this week that brings you joy. A walk. A favorite show. A new book. Anything that reminds you. You're still allowed to feel good. Because you are not invisible here. Not on this channel. Not in this community. Here on Elderly Wisdom Log. Your journey matters. Your voice matters. Your presence, whether you're 80, 90 or even a glorious 100, is still full of purpose. Let's recap. We walked through 5 brutal but honest truths about aging and loneliness. 1. Friends disappear without warning. The longer you live, the more goodbyes you're forced to say. 2. Physical decline isolates you. The smallest struggles can suddenly feel like mountains. 3. Mental shifts create silence. Forgetfulness, fear, confusion. They build invisible walls. 4. Society starts to ignore you. You stop being seen as capable and start being managed. And finally, you begin to feel forgotten by the world. Not out of malice, but neglect that still cuts deep. But here's what matters most. You don't have to face these alone. Awareness is your tool. Courage is your compass. And this community, we're your people. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 realities do you relate to the most? Or which one surprised you? Leave a comment below because I'm here, and I read every single word. And trust me, your words might just help someone else feel a little less alone tonight. And if this message touched you, if it reminded you of something you've been feeling, but didn't know how to say, please hit that subscribe button. Here on Elderly Wisdom Log, we don't just post videos, we build a space where seniors are seen, where they're heard, where they're honored every day. So thank you, truly thank you for spending this time with me. Stay strong, stay proud, and remember your wisdom is your legacy. You're not done yet. You've still got so much to give. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, take care of your heart, take care of your mind, take care of each other.